your ideas help move this country. You are the American Innovator.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the American Innovator. I hope the last 5 or 6 weeks you've enjoyed the shows. We've talked about every 30 days a significant opportunity passes in front of every human being. And then last week we did a little bit of humorous one, but really a very serious subject of flying the damn plane and everything I learned from my Italian flight instructor, John Mariani, who has had such a profound impact on me in terms of the way I think about flying an aircraft and really simplifying the whole process down to a few things. But this week, I want to talk about something maybe a little bit different. You know, you never know what's going to happen on the American Innovator. I'm fortunate enough that I get so many awesome experiences, literally day after day, week after week. And I love to share them with people because I learn so much from them. And this week, I think the title of the show is Proud to be an American. And I'll tell you why. Because, again, I had one of those awesome experiences every 30 days. And I was invited to go down to the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard because they are implementing lean down there, and they're doing a really good job. And they have traveled up to FastCap, brought several groups up 3 or 4 times now to tour our facility, to see what our lean activities are all about, and see how they could maybe learn something from us and we could learn something from them. Just a great group of people. And so they invited me to come down there and speak at a Lean Six Sigma Black Belt graduation because they had a lot of students that were graduating. And so I got to do a short little address. But at the same time, they offered to take me through the shipyard. Well, as you can imagine, this is the largest shipyard on the West Coast. And they specialize in overhauling and modernizing nuclear-powered aircraft carriers and submarines. And boy, what a fascinating experience. And of course I want to see that. Anyways, they took me for an amazing tour all day long. I got to go underneath the USS Ronald Reagan. Can you even imagine what it would be like to go underneath, to walk underneath and touch an aircraft carrier of this magnitude? I literally felt like when I was sitting underneath the ship and I was down 50 foot down into a dry dock. I think it was even deeper than 50 foot, but just relatively about that high. I felt like it was like Invasion of the Martians. I mean, it was so overwhelming to see an aircraft carrier this big overhead and just coming down on top of me. It was awesome. When you think about the American technology and the ingenuity that it would take to build something of this caliber, and yet we have lots of these ships, it was just overwhelming. I had so many great experiences on this trip, and I want to share a couple of them with you. One is just to see the awesomeness of American technology. That was a highlight. The next one was at 8 o'clock as we were driving around. Something very unusual happened that happened on military bases that I was not aware of, and that was they started to play the Star-Spangled Banner and the national anthem. And they played that and everybody stopped. The car was then stopped, everybody was at attention, and evidently this happens every day at 8 o'clock on military bases around the U.S. And that was just really inspiring to see that because it brought me to the point that I said, this is why these people are here, to defend this country. And it was so poignant. It was so, wow. You just really understood the scope of what was going on. So that was an awesome experience. I'm underneath the USS Ronald Reagan, the national anthem plays. I'm just like, wow, this is just it's almost surreal. First of all, I would have never dreamed. I have a very long bucket list. I mean, I have a bucket list that's very robust, and I'm constantly checking things off, and I get to do some outrageous things. But I never even thought to put on my bucket list that I would be able to walk underneath the USS Ronald Reagan, one of the greatest ships ever built in the history of the world. And I would be able to get up front and personal with this awesome piece of technology. With all this, I was just beside myself. And then to go in and see a nuclear-powered submarine capable of carrying 24 ballistic missiles. They were actually refueling it when I was there, and it takes a long time to do that. I'm not going to go into all the details because some of the stuff is not supposed to be, disseminated out. But the bottom line is, I got to see and experience things that most people would never get to see and experience. And probably another thing about the nuclear-powered submarines that was just so awesome was you just don't know how big these things are. You think you know, but imagine this. I was down walking in the bottom of a dry dock, and above me, 50 feet up, was the submarine. It's incomprehensible, the size and scope. And as I was walking along the submarine, at the very bottom of it, I looked up and I said, wow. Think about this concept. If the United States and its engineers and scientists have to spend this kind of money, we're talking $2 billion, $3 billion a copy, have to spend this kind of money to develop this level of technology to defend our freedoms, think of what the threat must be. If we have to have a nuclear-powered submarine, not one of them, but lots of them, and nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, that the planners and military infrastructure of our country have surmised that there's a threat of that magnitude, that we have to have this kind of awesome power. That's a sobering thought. It's a sobering thought of how real the threat is when I saw the awesomeness of this technology. It was just a new perspective that I've never had before. We know there's a threat, but when you see that technology and the sophistication of that technology and the size, the scope, the breadth of it, it kind of changes your perspective on what's going on. And as one of the guys who was giving me a tour around, he said something a little humorous, and I don't know that I'll quote it perfectly, but he was referring to the USS Ronald Reagan, and I think he said, that's an example of 90,000 tons of quiet diplomacy. When this aircraft carrier shows up off the coast of any country, people pay attention, and with good reason. This thing has more firepower than anyone could ever imagine. So that was the scope of what I wanted to share with you in terms of technologically. But now I want to transition and share something really just as exciting. Because as I walked around the shipyard there, we went from department to department and met team members after team members who were implementing lean. And I'm going to be honest with you, I did not expect to see what I saw. What I experienced was highly engaged people, people that were passionate, people that had energy in their voice and the way they walked around, and were excited about continuous improvement and lean in our government and our military. That is exciting news. That is news that is worth shouting from the rooftops, that within the infrastructure of the U.S. government, that there are people and there are seeds of positivity and continuous improvement that is taking root and taking hold. That just goes to show you there are awesome people within our military and within our government that get it. And this is great, great news. And at FastCap, we're going to do everything we can to assist them in any way we can to help them along in their lean journey. We're excited to be a part of it. We're excited that they would even give us the opportunity to see the things we saw. And I just want you to know there are good things happening within the federal government. It may not be everywhere, but there are some good things happening. I mean, really good things happening. And the technology that our scientists and engineers and our aircraft builders and our ship builders are producing is really, wow. It's so beyond what anybody could ever comprehend. And I got to see it firsthand with my eyes. You can read about it in books, you can see it on TV, but to see it up close, wow. We have some very bright people that are doing some great work, and that's worth celebrating. And I wanted to bring that to everyone's attention today on the American Innovator. So thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
The American Innovator has been brought to you by FastCap. To hear more, just go to theamericaninnovator.com.